Okay, chapter 3. I think this was more of just general background info on the characters. I do like Haymitch's friend, I guess it was his neighbor, I can't remember exactly, I know that was in the first chapter, that they're kind of teaming up, and it was so sad when he was like, I kind of hoped that she would hold out on finding a real sweetheart until Sid's old enough. I'm like, oh, because I've had those people in my life, right, where it's like, oh, I want them with this person I care about because I just care for them so much. I think that is a testament to his opinion of this little girl. So I can't remember her name. Sorry, with the audiobook, sometimes the names don't stick as well as when I'm actually physically reading a book. So that's kind of heartbreaking. Again, it's just humanizing all of these literal children that are being put in the arena. They all have families, they all have people that care about them, people that they care about. So definitely heartbreaking. Again, just the brutality of the games and this choice of punishment for rebellion is wild. The little Maisie, I kind of liked her. I was talking down to the attendant that was asking the one little girl what to order, and her just basically being like, we're not animals. Like, do we have silverware? Do we have plates? And I mean, yeah, she's still being kind of snotty, and I guess that turned Haymitch off a bit, but I kind of like it. I feel like she was almost sticking up for the girl and almost banding together of like, look, we are not just swine, you know, like, give us some dignity. And I do think Plutarch's character is just so interesting. I really feel like this is probably when a major shift happened, is when Plutarch's involved, like how the tributes are treated. And oh, there at the end when they're bringing out a birthday cake, wild. Like, I guess they figured out it's Haymitch's birthday and they're gonna celebrate this. Wild. You're sending this man to his impending death, and you're like, let's just celebrate your birthday. Let's make the best of it. It's crazy. And then them really seeing the footage that Plutarch put together and like how he stacked the deck, I think is, again, when a lot of these children are realizing how the Capitol manipulates things to tell their own narrative, you know. So I'm definitely seeing shades of how Haymitch ends up being who he is, you know, in the later books. Just sprinkle in a whole lot of extra trauma on top of what he's going through now. I said I didn't have a ton of thoughts. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense. The tributes are actually getting to talk. Oh, I did think it was interesting about the mentors, because I wondered about that. If you don't have a living mentor, who do you just not have mentors who advocates for sponsorship and stuff? So that was an interesting piece of literally victors from other districts that don't get to represent their own district and help those tributes are just assigned. So that's definitely interesting. And I loved the callback of him saying in 50 years there's only been one victor from District 12, talking about Lucy Gray and how no one knows basically anything about her. It does kind of make sense that it probably wasn't widely broadcast in the districts in the early days because of lack of television, and if I remember correctly, it wasn't like mandatory viewing at that point. That's why they were getting the high school students to try to bring some new life to the games and like, how can we entice people to watch? So that does make sense to me. And the general sense of a timeline that I get from that book too is when she was back in the district, she wasn't there for very long, like probably just a few months before, you know, she tries to escape with Snow. So yeah, I loved that callback. Oh, I did like too that he was talking about how Tam Amber actually remembers when the Covey were like rounded up and put into the district, and how most people don't really remember anything about Lucy Gray, but he's asked Lenore Dove and she never wants to talk about it. And I'm assuming, especially since she loves all the stories from Tam Amber of the old days before they were shoved into a district, I'm sure she's probably heard stories from him. I'm sure she knows, because Lucy Gray was his friend, was like family to him. So I have to imagine that she knows who Lucy Gray is and knows that they're related or have some kind of, I don't know, I'm still wondering if they're making it out to be Lenore Dove is Lucy Gray's kid. I don't know. I logically don't know how that works. I think Suzanne Collins will have to do some finagling to make that work, since, I mean, I just don't think it's feasible for Lucy Gray to have disappeared but then came back but stayed under the radar. It's very odd to me, but it does feel like there's more there that they're almost like hinting at. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm quite curious what's going to happen with that. But at the very least, I think Lenore Dove knows that Lucy Gray was Covey and that she was done wrong. It's very interesting to see how the older generation still kind of remembers before the games were like they were. And the present day of the book of Sunrise on the Reaping, and then how that shifts even more for the original trilogy. I am thoroughly enjoying this so far. I'm glad I'm doing the audiobook. I imagine that it could have been something like it was for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for me, of some of this detailed bits where the tributes are kind of interacting and they're remembering how the little towny girl was a jerk even before she was reaped and all that good stuff. I feel like that probably would have drug on a bit if I was physically reading it, but while I'm cleaning, passively listening to it, I think that has added to the enjoyment of it because it's just going kind of quickly. It's pretty well paced for an audiobook, I think. I'm really enjoying this book so far. Again, I'm waiting for the heartbreak. I know this is going to be gut-wrenching, but I'm enjoying it right now.